There isn't a day that goes by that we don't hear or read about a horrible crime. In the morning newspaper, you might read about a violent assault, and then on the evening news, you might hear about another strange crime. We get flooded with this kind of news because the mass media covers almost every subject. Every single day, the situation appears to get worse and worse. The sheer number of teens making news for their evil deeds is even more horrifying. Many kids aren't the perfect little angels they seem to be. Kids have, in fact, engaged in activities of this nature throughout history. How many school shootings have there been in the past 8 to 10 years? Most of them were committed by children. Mary Bell, who was 11 at the time, made headlines 50 years ago. Jesse Pomeroy, a teenager, committed the crime 150 years ago, and William York, a 10-year-old killer, committed the crime in the 1740s. Isn't it absolutely terrifying? We expect children to be innocent, kind, and playful. However, that's not always true. In this video, we'll talk about the violent crimes committed by children, which makes them the top 10 dangerous kids in the world. But before we dive in, welcome to Facts Insight. For more videos such as this one, please visit this channel for insights based solely on facts. Make sure to subscribe and give a like. Number 10. Lucas Markham and Kim Edwards. They're known as the toxic lovebirds, and you'll know why. Shocking double homicide that Kim Edwards and Lucas Markham, a couple of 15-year-old lovers, committed in 2016 frightened the UK. What is thought to have begun as a joke turned into the brutal murder of Kim Edwards' 13-year-old sister and mother, who was 49 years old. The reason behind this heinous crime was Kim's mother apparently wasn't giving her the attention and the love she thought she deserved. Markham admitted that he killed Edwards' younger sister only because he was afraid she would call the police. While the victims were sleeping, the pair attacked them with a kitchen knife and then using pillows to suffocate them. That's not it. The lovers apparently had a moment of intimacy after their cold and cruel murders, took a shower together to wash the blood away, and then watched some Twilight movie together. Number 9. Will Cornick. Will Cornick was convicted because he stabbed his class teacher when he was just 15 years old. Anne Maguire had devoted her entire professional career to teaching young individuals. She was only a few months away from retiring at the age of 61. Will Cornick, who on the outside seemed like a normal kid, but he had an extreme grudge against his teacher. The 15-year-old Cornick was secretly harboring some serious hatred towards his teacher, which resulted in a murder. On April 28, 2014, while Maguire was leaning over another student's desk, Cornick assaulted her from behind with a knife in front of his classmates of his Spanish class. She suffered injuries that led to death. What did she do to deserve such cruelness? According to reports, the disturbed student brought a bottle of whiskey to school to celebrate his heinous act. In addition, he confirmed that he'd intended to attack 2 more teachers that day. Unfortunately, he was unable to complete his fantasy. Number 8. James Fairweather. According to James Fairweather, he was possessed by demons and used to hear voices telling him to kill people for no reason at all. So, follow this advice. Run if you ever come into contact with a young person named James Fairweather. Run fast. If you don't, there's a good chance you'll get the short end of something long and sharp. James, who's 15 years old, is currently among the most dangerous children in the world. And why wouldn't he be? There were 2 victims. One of them was a drunken 33-year-old man who had passed out in a park in Essex, England. He was stabbed by Fairweather without any provocation. Then he stabbed a woman aged 31 in the eyes. When police arrested him, he appeared to be actively looking for another victim. Of course, he says he's possessed and that voices are speaking to him. He was sentenced to lifetime prison for his heinous act. Fairweather admitted to committing both homicides. He claimed, "I've been hearing voices telling me to kill people, and I've murdered 2 people." He claimed that he'd stabbed Jim in the head after discovering him dozing off on the ground. One shot was sideways and missed when he was trying to hit him in the eye. There was an ample amount of blood. "I figured he died," he gurgled. Number 7. PNEHEMIAH GRIEGO. People frequently commit heinous crimes for no obvious reason. PNEHEMIAH GRIEGO is an example. On January 19, 2013, the teenage boy entered his parents' bedroom with a .22 caliber rifle and shot his mother as she slept. PNEHEMIAH shot his younger brother twice when he arrived to see what all the noise was about. Then the young psychopath went to the other room and shot his 2- and 5-year-old sisters who were hiding in the corner. He then took an AR-15 from the gun cabinet and went to wait for his dad to get home from work to gun him down. He received a juvenile sentence, so he'll be released when he turns 21. Number 6. BEVER brothers. You've possibly heard of the Menendez brothers who made headlines in the 1990s for the crimes they committed against their parents. However, it's possible that you're unaware of the BEVER brothers. These two treasures were owned by a secluded family in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Both Robert Beaver, age 18, and Michael Beaver, age 16, were siblings. The boys also had 3 sisters, ages 13, 5, and 2, and 2 younger brothers, ages 12 and 7. They apparently came up with a plan because they wanted to do something so horrible that it would surpass the tragic Columbine incident. On 22nd July 2015, these 2 deranged people brutally beat their 5-year-old sister, their 2 younger brothers, and both of their parents with a heavy object. The 13-year-old sister just made it through the absurd act. The 2-year-old sister was at least unharmed by Robert and Michael. It's a relief that these 2 evil beings will never be freed. Number 5. Jake Evans, who says that being a minor carries a curse because minors get away with everything eventually, so it was beneficial in Jake Evans' situation too. See, Jake had a strategy to murder his mother and sister, with whom he shared a home, and then he intended to kill his grandparents as well as his older sister. Jake shot his mother and sister on October 12, 2012, putting his evil scheme into action. Fortunately for his grandparents and older sister, Jake called 911 rather than going to his grandparents' house to admit his crimes. He stated that he got the idea of this crime after seeing the Rob Zombie remake of the Halloween movie, in which a young boy murders his relatives. Due to his age, he was spared the death penalty but still received a 45-year sentence. Number 4. JARRELL Milton. Jamie Mel Ray, 31, and Charles Fisher, 30, both drug dealers, planned to sell a bit of marijuana on June 29, 2015. At a park in Omaha, Nebraska, a simple deal was intended to be made, but it turned out to be quite the opposite. The 2 were assaulted by 3 attackers as they entered Miller Park. Ray was shot in the head and neck, killing him, while Fisher was hit in the shoulder and miraculously survived. Even though we frequently hear about incidents of this nature, the fact that the attackers were young boys still shocks us. JARRELL Milton, age 12, his brother, age 17, and a friend, age 15, intended to rob the 2 dealers to make a quick profit. You can rest easy knowing that JARRELL will soon be back on the streets because he is a minor. Number 3. William Schultz. William Schultz is insane and a serious threat. Truly, there isn't any other way to put it. William, who was 18 years old, apparently thought that the end of the world was near and that he should cross some things off his bucket list. Who was first on his list? Well, William wanted to experience what it was like to murder someone. Schultz drove by a home on April 26, 2015, cut the power, and then went inside. Jordan Almgren, age 9, was sleeping upstairs when he walked in and fatally stabbed the youngster. But why focus only on Jordan? Jordan, according to Schultz, was small and vulnerable. He'll be in prison waiting for parole for at least 25 years, giving him plenty of time to reevaluate his actions. Number 2. Bobby Woods Jr. It's undeniable that not all young people possess the capacity for logical reasoning. In particular, this applies to Bobby Woods Jr., a 17-year-old from Lufkin, Texas. Mason Cutler, his girlfriend's brother's 3-year-old son, and Woods shared a home together. Bobby considered it to be a minor issue that Woods' girlfriend was expecting a child. Their home, in his opinion, was too small to fit a new child. His response? He threw the screaming toddler into the water at the pond behind their house, then left the scene. A truly callous deed and a terrible response. Coming on to the number 1 dangerous kid in the world. QUINDARIS, BURRESS, DEQUAN STRIBLING, and JAYCE West. When most young, healthy teenagers get together, they typically do things other than commit senseless murder. These 3 young people in Baldwin, Mississippi were looking for an activity to do in October 2017. They chose to brutally murder a 70-year-old man instead of, say, going to a bowling alley playing video games. Just hanging out. On October 23rd, Henry Adams Jr.'s body was discovered outside his home. QUINDARIS BURRESS, DEQUAN STRIBLING, and JAYCE West are all only 13 years old. Each member of the dangerous trio is accused of committing a capital offense. They may have to go through an adult court process, but because of their ages, they won't be executed. Police have not officially confirmed robbery as the cause of this senseless killing, despite the suspicion. Now, we've provided you the list of top 10 dangerous kids of all time, in case you didn't know. Let us know in the comment section if you liked this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates.